Yeah, I'm sure I want to start the stream. Did I start the stream? Are you out there? Can you hear me? Am I making noise? Let's find out together. I do believe that we are live. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, if I disappear in the middle of this or just kind of freeze. I think we're pushing the the setup to its limits here because I'm trying to do many things at once. And yeah, frankly, we are, there's a little bit of duct tape and bubblegum going on behind the scenes here at the Verdigris table. But without further ado, welcome to the Verdigris table on this, our first official YouTube stream, actually. We messed around on Twitch once or twice, but here we are on YouTube, our home away from home, our mainstay, because today is a very special day. Today we are talking about the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. And we've been talking about it for a long time because I've been working on it for a long time, but it's officially launched on Kickstarter. And so far, 24 of you have backed it already, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, I am feeling very good sitting at, 61%? After a few hours, especially on some, random Thursday morning, I hit the buttons. So here we are around the world. Cheers. Thanks for your continuing support. Numbers go up. Fun, live. I feel like I'm on PBS right now. Thank you, whoever that was. God, guys, honestly, so I don't know if you've watched the trailer. Turn up the juice, put up the subwoofers, because I'm real happy with the way this turned out. It's a capital T trailer, in full bassy goodness. So definitely check that out if you didn't see it this morning at our premiere. But on this Kickstarter page, if you have not noticed, because you are so eager to lend me your support, which I deeply appreciate, make sure that you notice this little guy right here. Can I highlight this without clicking the link? Yeah. So there is a copy of a beta draft, a playtest version. Ooh, I've done my best, but there's a lot of tiny words in there, folks, and there may very well still be errors because I'm working with sentence fragments. If you have seen Kelf's awesome live stream the other night, or the Blank Slate podcast episode I was on recently, the contents of the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation is built to give you ideas, to generate ideas, not necessarily to tell you everything. So they are as compacted as possible, and occasionally that leads to bad grammar, which hurts my my English major heart sometimes. But there's no excuse for misspelling. Except I've been very busy and trying to make you this awesome thing. So, keeping in mind that it is a playtest beta version, and if you see some mistake somewhere, hey, let me know. We'll fix it. But yeah, there's going to be a big process of reading through, once again, this. But we are going to use it together today. So if you're just joining us, this is the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. It is on Kickstarter. It is live. We are live. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the pretty picture. So many pretty pictures in this thing. I'm very happy with the art. I get zero credit for making the art. I did not make the art, but I picked out the art, and it took a long time, and I am stoked. I am really excited about it. But I'm mostly excited about showing you the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. We're going to make a character. So what's up? Who's in here? Anybody? Say hi in chat if you're with me. Otherwise, I'll do it. I'll do it by myself if I got to. But let's make a character together. I know some of y'all are at work and we'll be watching this later. I know some of you are interested, but I just kind of pulled the trigger fast before my computer melted down. So let's talk about what this is exactly. We'll go segment by segment here. What this is, David, what's up, man? Do you want to A, make a character, or B, fledge out a character concept you already have? Same thing goes for Zamoon. What's up, Zamoon? Yeah. Yeah, this is the trick, is to make this year work. Or actually, I don't know if that was a mistake or the best thing I've done, but I'm trying to make this my work. So the Game Master's Compendium is built to help game masters and players. And how it's helping players is by helping them make archetype-based characters. Now, this is system neutral. This is going to mesh pretty seamlessly with, 5th edition. Also Pathfinder. OSR games, pretty much any... Stacy, there she is. Stacy, you want to make a character? This is built to mesh with any high fantasy tone system. We're talking about flavor. There's not a rule set in here. There's not mechanics. This is meant to graft onto whatever system you may be using. So the idea is to make archetype-based characters first. It does a lot of things, but that's the starting point, and then it's going to help the dungeon master, the game master, make a world that feels connected to those characters and feels relevant to those characters and explores the themes that those characters are bringing to the table. It does it by double-page layouts, which you can't see when I'm doing it this way. But character motivations is the beginning of each of these sets of tables, right? So we're looking at the Acolyte now. Start at A, classic example of a paladin or a cleric, or I don't know, I made a bard acolyte once, a seminary dropout. You don't have to, sometimes it's fun to lean into the tropes, and sometimes it's fun to kind of mix and match them and go against them. So the first thing that we roll for all of these tables, thank you for loving the Icespire Peak videos. Those were really fun to make, and honestly, so Phandalin is a very special place in my heart, and I think we're going to do another one of these streams with the Shattered Obelisk in mind, which is the sequel to Lost Mine of Phandelver, but also very easily tying into and extending out Dragon of Icespire Peak. I don't know if you were all plugged in around this, well, not quite around this time last year. Around this time last year, actually, I started to hear rumors because I'm like too close to this, but the beginning of this year, the very end of last year, the people who run D&D made some decisions that made a lot of people upset and frightened. So that'll happen in the middle of the Dragon of Icespire Peak series, a little inside the actor's studio. That's why that never really was completed. And maybe one day we'll do it. Right now, I'm diving into the Shattered Obelisk, so we're back on WotC content. But this is not WotC content. This is Verdigris table original. So, chat, somebody give me a D20. If you're in our Discord, I've set up Avre. So !R space D20. We'll roll a D20 in there. If nobody gives it to me, I'm gonna go roll dice on Google. I'll do it. Don't make me. But who wants to just pick a number between 1 and 20? Or use some dice. Clock is ticking. Oh look, a whole bunch of dice right here. Whole bunch of dice right here. And the first thing that we're rolling for, and look, honestly, if you see something while you're building a character and you're like, ooh, I've got an 18, but 11 is really like more fitting of the character concept I have in mind, you could probably take 11. I think it's okay. Are you a 46 right down the line, drop one kind of guy, a 3d6 down the line, no dropsies kind of player? Oh, we got a 12. I was reaching for the D20. Zamoon wins. So first things first, character motivation. Why? Why is your character not simply an acolyte sitting in the library? Oh yeah, real dice. Why is your character an adventurer? And sometimes we're deep in the bowels of the dungeon, about to die, before we even consider answering that question, or before that question even arises. But I think it's a very good thing to think about during character creation, because it's going to help you play your role, right? We all get, and I'm not even guilty, it's part of the equation. I get really excited about the numbers, picking out my stats, picking out my abilities, and sometimes we can take our eye off the ball. It's a dwarf cleric, right? It writes itself. It's an acolyte. And there is ideals, bonds, flaws, which kind of got didn't it was a great idea. I was really excited when I saw them starting down that road. It didn't seem to, oh, everybody be quiet. Nacho's at work. What's up, Nacho? I love stealing time. All right, so we got a 12. We got a 12. Why are you being a jerk? We got a 12. So our acolytes' motivation, the drive, the dream, the aspiration of this character is to shape the direction of their faith. And you know what? I'm gonna write some stuff down because a lot of plates spinning at once. I'm gonna start forgetting stuff. Shape the direction of their faith. And again, that's a starting point. I mean, that's wide open. Kelf's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelf. Kelf, drop your everything. Kelf was kind enough to take this on a test drive, and it was awesome to watch a creative dungeon master running and geeking out over what I think is pretty cool, but I made the thing. So it's always awesome to see somebody else get joy and creativity out of it. Shape the direction of their faith. So that's wide open because that's two things at once, right? That is, their faith is their deity, right? Whatever that may be, whatever god and whatever pantheon you're playing, whatever they're focusing on. And I just tried to highlight the text. Yes, I already tried to click on the wrong screen because I got it in front of me twice. This is on the Kickstarter page, so please come support us. Love it. Thank you. Even if you don't, even if you haven't yet, especially if you're on the fence, you can download this very document right here and use it tonight to make a character, and then connect that character to a world, and then shape that world into an adventure, into a campaign arc. That's what we're doing here today to show you how easy it is. It goes a lot faster when you're not talking about it and talking to some awesome people in the meantime. But let's face it, that's D&D, right? We used this the other night for character creation on my Tuesday night group, sitting around the table, and it took us a very long time because we were having a lot of fun. So shaping the direction of their faith for an acolyte. I mean, I default to cleric. Maybe they're not a cleric. Let's say they're a bard, right? Let's stretch it. It's about like what their deity's focus may be, but to me it feels more likely that like it's more earthly, or whatever planet, terrestrial, whatever, down to, in the trenches, the grounds I view, the social level, the clergy level. It's not so much what the god is doing. I mean, as we level up, maybe we get to influence that, but in the beginning, maybe we're talking about what the church is doing, what our local temple is doing. Maybe we disagree with what the leader of the seminary or the order or the monastery or, the abbey is doing. So we set out to make a name for ourselves, to change the world, to be a hero, because we want to shape the faith. So chat, and I know there's a tiny bit of a delay, and some of that's my fault. We're going to go into a D12. So somebody, please give me a D12. I will roll it myself. Don't make me use dice. I've been playing stupid games on Temu. I was playing stupid games on Temu, and I've got all sorts of new shiny math rocks in front of me, so I will roll them. But I think it's more fun if it's interactive. So the Moon or anybody else, hit me with a D12 roll. I did put a link to our Discord in the description of this video. Thank you. You know what? I'm gonna run with that. Kelv gave me a D12. We'll pretend it's this one. Oh, we rolled a 1, but that's okay. It's not a D20, and it doesn't really. There's no bad answers on these tables, really, until we get to the monsters, maybe. And there's better answers. There's better answers on the magic items. But the second table we're talking about is going to be calls to adventure, and this one's doing double duty. Oh, we got a 2, we got a 6. That's interesting. So having multiple results is not a bad thing here, and I'll tell you why. That one, baby. Get them out before we start playing, or whatever. Lean into it, man. everyone's like, ooh, a natural one, but like, even as a dungeon master, but also as a player, sometimes I'm like, oh, this is gonna get wild now. Celebrate the ones as much as you celebrate the 20s, and you'll have twice as much fun, guys. So I rolled one, divine vision in dreams or meditation. So what this is a catalyst, call to adventure, and lore drops, which I almost put in parentheses, but divine. I'm gonna write that one down because this is mine. Divine visions in dreams or meditation, and that's like, come on, man. You're reflecting on, contemplating, praying to some sort of divine creature, essence, some sort of deity in a high fantasy world. Vision. Boom. Just like that. Whatever you need. Oh, you dreamed it. So, hitting the books in... or maybe not even hitting the books because we're a bard, right? So we're playing our lyre instead of studying our ecumenical texts in the seminary, and boom, we have a vision from our god to go do the thing, find the magical MacGuffin. Again, this is all potentially stuff that we're going to do in character creation together around the table with the dungeon master, or give our dungeon master a framework instead of a novel of a backstory of stuff that, like, hypothetically probably a first level character couldn't have accomplished. We've seen it. We've all seen it. Hey, here's some basic things. How does it fit into the world, into the campaign, into the story that you are creating or running? You know, the dungeon master might have some sort of pre-published content, and there's some deity in there, I bet, or one could be stapled on pretty quickly. All right, so it's going to be hard to keep up, but let's go. So we've got a 2. Sacred messenger arrives. So similar in some ways, but there's a difference between, like, waking up and being like, oh, that was a potentially prophetic dream, right? It was in color. It was very clear. And, like, a celestial creature flies down from the sky, right? An angel, be it, you know, some beautiful androgynous person with wings, or a ball of eyes and feathers, if we want to go biblical with the whole thing. Or pick your celestial. Where's my monster manual? Down there somewhere. Pick your celestial creature. It shows up and tells you, hey, God says you're supposed to do this thing, right? Again, a lot of this stuff, it's vague on purpose so you can use it and run with it. But especially this Acolyte stuff, like, deities come with a lot of flavor packed in, right? Like, if you're following Paylor, right, and it's all light and good, or you're following Talos and it's all doom and gloom and thunder and lightning. What did Stacy get? Stacy got a 6. So the other thing that this could be, right, a call to action could be, like, in the character's backstory. It could also be something that shows up and we play through, right? So as a game master running the thing, right, I got an Acolyte in the party. I want to deliver some sort of message, right? An angel falls from the sky and says, I have a quest. Stacy got a 6. Stacy got a 6. Heretical sect just might be onto something. Now that's juicy. That's got legs. A heretical sect that just might be onto something. So that could be, like, a cult, right, to some other antagonistic god. But a heretical sect, heretical means, like, they're not in the fold of the orthodoxy, right? So there is this other group worshiping the same god in a very different way that doesn't quite jive with what we're learning in seminary, or what the player's handbook says about, or the dungeon master's guide says about this particular deity, right? But, like, ooh, maybe it's not so cut and dry, right? Maybe, like, oh, I was cruising along, you know, lawful good, and, like, hey man, this chaotic good sounds pretty good. So again, this could be something that comes up in play. It could be in your backstory, again, if you're doing this in a vacuum or at the table in character creation. But there's honestly, you can already see the benefit of having multiple options here. And if you go watch Kel's stream from the other night, was that last night? It feels like a long time ago. I think it was it 2 nights ago? Kel, feel free to share the Twitch and the VOD. The impulse to be like, oh, you know, and I don't like that, I like this. Run with that. It's not like, oh, the dice said Nat 1, or, you know, even if you like the idea of evil cult versus a heretical sect, right? Like, just because it was Monday. It was Monday? Jeez. It's been a blur. It's been a blur. I launched a Kickstarter, gang. Did I tell you? The idea is to give you ideas, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to get those sparks flying. That's the whole freaking concept here. So as you go along, if you come up with something better, awesome, right? This thing did its job. You'll see as we gain steam here. And speaking of, someone give me a D8. Give me a D8. Give me a D8 for the next round. The exciting part for me, and the reason I build all my stuff into tables, like I do this for my game master prep too. Anybody who's seen my wilderness tables on the Dungeon Masters Guild, like that was stuff I built for myself and then made pretty to share with you. But the cool thing about letting the dice decide is, well, it's twofold. One, it gives me, the game master, a little less control over what's happening. Like, the world is doing this. I didn't do this. Yeah, okay, I put the dragon on the table, but I'm not the one who decided it just swept down on you guys right now. That was you. You rolled that, you know, that one. You rolled snake eyes, actually. It's always 2d6. You rolled snake eyes. Here's the dragon. I didn't do that. And now I get to converse with you about, like, what are we going to do about this dragon, guys? Like, we're all on the same team. But the other thing, and maybe you saw the joy in my eyes as I was describing that scenario, which I've had happen multiple times, to like level 2, level 3 characters, just, you know, walking somewhere else. The joy of discovery, right? And part of that is you don't know what's going to happen where, which is why I overstuff these things with options. But also the interaction of the elements, which as we start to build up here, we're gonna see. So we got a 3. Let's scroll. Oops, I did it again. I'm trying to scroll on the wrong page. Character arcs. I think this is going to be the one that people kind of toss out because they don't understand it, honestly. At least at first, because these are the broadest, kind of vaguest in some cases, because they're supposed to take a while. But the idea is that an interesting character is a character that changes. And I'm not just talking about, oh, my AC went up from 17 to 18. Like, cool, big numbers, good, yes. But the story side of it is where the juice lives, right? And a character that has an arc, a character that has room to grow, is going to be more interesting, hands down. Think about your favorite streams, right? That's the secret. They've got room to grow. And do they know every beat along the way? No. And that's not what I'm giving you here. I'm giving you a very big overarching concept. So blind follower to free thinker. Oh, I mean, I like that quite a bit. I'm getting a very, like, lawful to neutral to chaotic kind of good, or maybe, you know, lawful good to true neutral kind of trajectory out of this character already, just out of a couple dice rolls and my wheels turning, my imagination turning. And you might think, as the creator of this, that, like, oh, I know what happens when we get, I don't even remember what the numbers were, but, like, I have a plan in place for when this happens. Like, no, it's all about the interaction, right? These are a bunch of shiny math rocks, and as they click together, they make sparks, and hopefully some of those sparks catch, and eventually your character burns the world down, and we start over. Had that happen a couple times too. Blind follower to free thinker. So yeah, I would go, this feels a little more like a paladin now, right? To start. But very, like, rigorous, thinking maybe we've been isolated in the monastery. Maybe we're a monk. You know, I don't think about monks too often. Maybe they're going to make them better, and we'll all be talking about monks more. What do we get? Kelf gave me another one, didn't you? Avre rolled a 6. Guys, I don't trust Avre. We use it a lot, but Avre does some weird stuff. Is that just me? Does Avre have it out for me? Is that just inside my game night server? 6 is sheltered to worldly, so similar in some ways to what I was just kind of going on. Little different nuance there, right? Being sheltered means like not knowing, whereas being a blind follower is almost like knowing too hard, right? Not being open to learning anymore. We got one more. What was he at? We got a 3 in the mix. I don't know if that was from the last batch or this batch, but I'm gonna. Oh no, 3 is what we did. Cool. The story side of it is where the juice lives. Yeah, I am quotable sometimes. Thank you for quoting me, because words come out of my mouth and then I don't remember them. That's why I started recording stuff. Oh, Brian, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Brian. Brian is working on a very cool setting that is appropriate for kids. And when I want a better, Brian, give me your pitch, because I want a better way to say that, because it looks cool anyway. But like, I have a lot of parents actually coming back to D&D in the channel, especially like the Lost Mine and the Pathfinder starter set. I have a lot of people coming back to D&D, bringing their kids in, and some of those people came back and watched me talk about Shattered Obelisk, and in there I told them explicitly, right? I'm trying to talk to everybody at the same time, but sometimes you think about your different demographics. It's not like I have a huge audience, but there's people that are watching, right? I'm not talking to myself here. Shattered Obelisk, super cool, excited to run it. Probably not great for kids. You know, if you know, maybe you don't mind them waking up with nightmares, which means you're waking up in the middle of the night for scenes. But there's a lot of value, and I know a lot of people, so I'm excited to talk to Brian about that very soon. He does streams where he's working on it and taking input live. It's pretty cool. Welcome to the party, Brian. We're happy to have you here. So, transformation, growth, character arcs. The idea being your character isn't perfect to start, and that goes against the min-maxer in us all, right? I mean, that's the power gamer. It's all derogatory terms, but like, you're trying to make the best character you can, right? So the game master's like, oh, tell me what's wrong with your character. Oh, he's got a -1 in charisma because I needed a -1 somewhere, right? I got a dump stat. Okay, cool, but right, like, give me something with a little more substance that we can run with, because maybe you're not going to invest in that charisma and bring it to 0, right? But my character is super sheltered, or my character is blindly following their faith, and then they start to interact with the world and realize that things are not so black and white. And if they're interacting with that heretical sect, which we didn't actually get, but I'm thinking of running with, or the game master who's running for this character saw and is going to put in their path, that feels like a pretty not necessarily easy, but a pretty satisfying way to generate that sort of character growth. Let's keep the rolls coming with a D4. Everybody's favorite or least favorite. Everybody's favorite till they step on one. Somebody please give me the D4. Yeah. Everybody read what Brian's talking about and go check out Geek Philosophy. Thank you. Thank you for backing the campaign. That means a lot to me. Somebody roll a D4. I'm going to pitch the Kickstarter. Roll the caltrop. Exactly. Roll the caltrops. Calv got a nat 1 and we're running with it. He said it first and it's a nat 1. We're doing nat 1s today. So on the Kickstarter, there are 2 tiers. right? Again, the thing that I'm using right now is up there for free. So you are under financial restraints, you got stuff going on, you're not 100% sure who this random guy is talking about this random thing, you want to try it out for yourself first, you can do that. There are 7 in here. I was going to give you 5, but I had to get the barkeep in there. So there are 7 full 2-page spreads where you can build a character and a world around that character. You're talking about tons of plot hooks and magic items and monster concepts, cool stuff. But for $20 you get the PDF and the option to buy the hardcover at cost, right? I take no profit from that. You get to buy it as if you were a wholesaler, which is going to be super cheap. It depends exactly how many stretch goals we hit. The world is ever changing, so I can't tell you exactly what the price is going to be, and you don't have to take advantage of that, but you could buy the hardcover at cost, which is for the price that I would get it to. And now I'm not going to store it in my garage and then charge you shipping to ship it to you. I mean, they'll ship it, but they would charge me to ship it, and I wasn't going to eat that. So it's the cheapest way to get your hands on a hardcover version of this. There's also a $50 tier, and in that $50 tier, we're going to get to it in a second, not only do you get credits in the book, I'm going to call you a producer, which is what we all aspire to, right? Producers have it good, I think. Also, you get to name an NPC. And in the wording, I say suggest a name for an NPC just in case somebody comes in with some like real inappropriate stuff. But like, this is the internet. Someone shows up with Bodie McBoatface, like, I'll figure out there's a sailor. There's going to be a sailor in here. Like, I'll make it work. Give me your NPC names. That wasn't an invitation to challenge me. But like, yeah, and like, if that NPC name is a beloved character that you want to immortalize, maybe one that fell in one of your previous campaigns, that feels good to me. All right, so that first column on the left is very much geared towards the players. This right column here on the left page, I mean, we're doing it 1 page at a time, but in the book, this is going to be a 2-page spread. So the leftmost side, 100% for the player. The next column, still on that left page, is going to be at the game master's discretion. How much control are you going to cede to the players, or how much are you going to let them peek behind the curtain? The longer I do this, the more comfortable and confident I am at doing it. Like, the more I actually enjoy ceding control to the players. It makes it feel more collaborative to me. I'm not saying that you have to do that. Some people like the kabuki theater of it all a little bit more than I do, but I'm leaning into that in this next campaign. But more on that in later videos. Some people aren't ready to have the players tell them much about the campaign, or look, you're running a published adventure, and like, you have to translate this to that before we talk about anything, before a player gets it set in their mind. So depending on your situation, maybe this is under the game master's control, maybe this is something that's happening during character creation. But the idea is that these things cement a connection to the world for the player character. The player character has connections to the world out of the gate, right? So the first thing we got here is friendly factions, and factions we were talking about recently are underutilized, I think, in published content, at least. I don't know what's going on at your table, but we got the Gardens of Serenity. Gardens of Serenity. That already just sounds nice. I would want to work with them. Vineyard and Abbey, keeping a vow of silence and a powerful secret. Damn. That's a lot of things at once. Good job, me. Fun thing that happens. I'm sure if you're a dungeon master, you've already experienced this probably, but like, make hundreds and hundreds of table entries, and eventually you start forgetting them, and you get to surprise yourself. A vineyard and an abbey. I mean, I love that right out of the gate. I'm seeing drunken monks. Bit more, not necessarily in the Kung Fu way, but also in the Kung Fu way. Keeping a vow of silence. So in a D&D world, a whole order, keeping a vow of silence, like, does that include message? Does that include sending? Does that include like telepathy? Where are the bounds in the magical world of silence? Is the whole abbey under just like this huge dome of the silence spell? That's cool. This is a setting. This is a location too. I want a map for the Gardens of Serenity now, and a powerful secret. And you see, I don't tell you what the powerful secret is because that's the game master. That's not my job, right? That's not the book is going to serve you better by not answering that question. A powerful secret in your world, right? Could be like, oh, this is maybe this is the heretical sect. Is that what a friendly faction that holds a dark secret and a group of, right? Are they the same? Kelf is running with me. The dark secret might not be that secret. The other thing is, some of these interactions become mergers for me, right? Like the heretical sect is actually not on my piece of paper now. Maybe these guys are considered heretical because they keep that vow of silence. And they're very much, they're considered extreme or just kind of wacky, right? Like nowhere in these divine tenets does it say you can't talk to each other. You guys have been, sampling your wine a little too much or whatever. But yeah, I like that. Let's keep it moving. But I really like that. Somebody give me a D6 while I sit and bask in the Gardens of Serenity. The Gardens of Serenity. And, the Acolyte has Shelter of the Faithful, right? I mean, depending on how you're playing and what rules you're using, but like Vanilla 5e, that is like the thing that the Acolyte gets for flavor, but it's also like a mechanical benefit to a degree, right? You could call it a ribbon ability because maybe it doesn't get used so often in a lot of games, but like Shelter of the Faithful at the Gardens of Serenity, a silent vineyard, like seems like a nice place to take a long rest. Stacy's got a 2. Assets and allies. Whoops, I always highlight all of it. So NPCs are a game master's most powerful tool a lot of the time. I mean, monsters, but to drive the story, to get information to the players, right? You can place it in a book. I've got a whole bunch of books on Drive-Thru-RPG for doing just that and for doing some other stuff. But a good NPC is the thing that's going to make things happen in your game more often than not. So building NPC connections in a character creation gets rid of that, like, will they, won't they, do we trust this guy? I don't like this guy that you set up to be the quest giver, but like we're in love with this goblin that was trying to murder us a session ago. Like all that weirdness. Like, no, Brother Galen, Brother Galen. And it goes without saying to anyone with experience, but feel free to change any of these odd fantasy names as you see fit. An ancient acolyte. So we have like kind of a peer, someone we know from the seminary who never advanced. Oh, okay, interesting. He's like a super senior who never advanced. Brimming with rumors. And rumors are always interesting, right? I'm telling you, so NPCs are great for delivering information to the players, brimming with rumors, but that information is coming from an unreliable narrator sometimes. Yes, sometimes an NPC will lie to the players. On the Blank Slate podcast just recently, I talked about a very memorable experience where a character that was a non-player character / monster lied to my player characters, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker, and it changed the course of the campaign for the next 6 sessions. So go check out that Blank Slate podcast so I don't have to retell that again. But yeah, rumors are not necessarily true. And this, like, I don't know, his brother, he is gendered. I see this like old guy who is maybe like a little more interested in rumors than he is in advancement in the clergy, which again, depending on your context, your setting, this acolyte's deity, however those interact, what does advancement mean? Open-ended question that, like, if you have a setting in mind already, if this is already clicked in with a god for your character or for your setting, you probably have answers for that before you even formulated the question, right? But or he's more interested in gossip than advancing like at the expense. Like this guy can't keep his mouth shut, right? And depends, right? But if you are advancing up the ladder of some hierarchical ecumenical organization, right? Keeping the secrets is a necessity. So a couple ways to play Brother Galen here, and maybe you think it's one way and it's the other way. But again, Brother Galen, you went to school with this guy, right? You guys go way back. I already have a voice in my mind. I'm not gonna do it now because my throat is shot. But the player has a source of information right out of the gate. Hey, Brother Galen told you this. Now, Brother Galen is not always on the ball, right? Maybe he's real old. He's codgery. He's, not necessarily, maybe he's making stuff up sometimes. But Brother Galen told you this thing, and he thinks it's true, and you like Brother Galen, right? Like maybe I'm crossing a line there between player agency, but if we have buy-in at character creation, then yeah. And I agree not to turn Brother Galen into a monster. Does he get replaced by a doppelganger? Maybe, but the original Brother Galen that we both agreed you liked, he was a pretty good dude. Brian got a 6 on a d6, which is Sister Isolde. So we got, well, I'm not writing this one down because I already got mine, but Sister Isolde. I think it's, yeah, Sildur. I feel like Calf maybe rolled this one recently. Slightly scattered and kindly devotee with erratic gift of prophecy. Ooh boy. So what's her name from not McGonagall? Who's I'm getting the divination wizard from Harry Potter right now. Eccentric, slightly scattered, kindly devotee with erratic gift of prophecy. So again, you want to deliver story seeds, plot hooks, rumors, lore drops to characters. Some like kooky nun, right? Who once in a while gets a direct transmission from the powers that be, whatever the deity is. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to make things happen. And imagine, Game Masters, if a player came up to you and said, hey, I have a character concept. It's a dwarf, tempest, cleric, whatever. And the Professor Trelawney. Professor Trelawney. I can see her. I can't even remember I'm bad with names. Can't remember the actress's name either. Thank you, everybody. So yeah, Sister Isolde is a very well developed character in one sentence fragment for me. But I wrote her, and if it's not Professor Trelawney to you, awesome. You do it your way. But again, imagine Dungeon Master, if someone came up to you with the character concept, and it wasn't just like, oh, here's my spell list. It's also like, oh, and I think like I have this connection. Like when I was an Acolyte, I had a friend, Sister Solde. She was a little kooky, and every once in a while there was, some sort of like prophetic message, but she was a little zany, so we didn't always know what to make of it. Sometimes the wires got crossed. Whatever, a Professor Trelawney type, right? Like that is usable, right? That is, I could connect that. I mean, Sister Gariel could be that, right? Like I could plug that into any starting town. I could make that work in any campaign. Could I make that work? I could make that work in my last campaign, and I could make it work in my next campaign. Yeah, perfect. Here's the favorite for the players, and here's the last part, the most likely thing that Game Masters are not going to cede control over to the players. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, please roll a d10. Guys, gals, and non-gendered pals. It is Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson, thank you. God, I love Emma Thompson, and I felt that kindly regard, that warmth towards that actress. Was like, if she's, I don't know. It seems like mostly the men that I've enjoyed performances of turned out to be real jerks. So if Emma Thompson is not a nice person, nobody tell me. So the D10 is the one roll where higher is probably better from the player's side of things, because not that that is perfectly tiered, but the first 1 to 3 entries on a lot of these tables are more of the meaningful object side of things than the magic item. So there's a lot of store. Ooh, we got double 6s, so the dice have spoken. For a 6, we have peeling retribution, and that's peeling with an A. This is not a vegetable peeler. Peeling. Although if you just thought of an awesome way to make a vegetable peeler infused with divine energy, run with it, please. Please do that for me. But this is a bell. Peeling retribution. Actually, dibs. I think there's going to be a chef or something. Maybe I'm going to make a different PEEL. Peeling retribution. Inscribed bell or singing bowl. I do like singing bowls. Inscribed bell or singing bowl. And like, I feel like the type of deity we have here is going to inform this 666s. Inscribed bell or singing bowl deafens all others in range. That's pretty dope. Potentially pretty powerful. And now you'll notice it doesn't say, I mean, a lot of these will say like once a day, because I can't, in my Game Master's Heart of Hearts, I do need to throttle. But this is a system neutral document. So the Game Master is going to have to do a little bit of work on this side. I'm not giving you the stats here. But I know exactly how I would play this. But again, you could roll this in character creation, right? Maybe the character starts with this. You want to be everybody's favorite DM. Give them a magic item. Give them a cool bespoke magic item at character creation, and they'll come back to the table next time you are starting a campaign, probably. But there's nothing saying that, like, you're starting with this at level 1. Like, Brother Gallon is telling you rumors about the bell of peeling retribution, or the singing bowl of peeling retribution that deafens its enemies, right? I mean, maybe it's a trumpet, right? If it's Pelor, or insert god and instrument here. But whoa, okay, gang. Sorry for having a little geekgasm there, but what would the best place to hide a magic item that creates such a powerful divine cacophony that it deafens all but the person who struck it, perhaps in some magically enshrined in silence monastery? Like, this is the juice. This is the good stuff. This is the heat, right? This is why everything's on fire. Oh, I haven't been spinning this thing, but like fire, assets and allies, magic items. Oh, I freaking love this guy. I love this guy with the lightning bolt spear. Come on that skull. That's metal. That's old school D&D right there. Damn. In the bell tower. Guys, we might be done. I don't even need to do the second page. I'm deeply satisfied. If this, I don't know. Yeah, I made a thing and I like it. I hope you do too. No, we're not. We're going. We're still going. Damn. That was good though. That's good. And of course, you think the bell is broken. It's the Liberty Bell, right? It's Franklin's Tower. Any Grateful Dead fans out there? This is Franklin's Tower. The bell is, because the characters go up there and they ring and like nobody's talking. The characters would figure out, like, you can't hear each other, right? But they would figure out a workaround. But by the time they get to the bell, right? It's at the top of the tower. They've been in the abbey. The cone of silence begins at the grapevines. Do the characters realize that maybe this bell actually is a powerful magic item, or do they ring it and like, oh, of course the bell doesn't work. This is a silent abbey. They probably took the ringer out. I don't know my bell anatomy. Or there's this big pagoda-y tower and this big vessel, this singing bowl, and this mallet beside it. Ooh, guys, that's tasty. That's tasty. And see, it's this interaction. Like, this is why I made it this way. So that's the character side. That's the character side. That's half of it. That's half of it. All right, I'm gonna control myself a little bit because I don't want to seem like I'm coming on too strong here. But this is a genuine emotional response. But let's be professional here and turn to the next page. And again, this is going to be the right hand page. I worked very hard. I learned a lot about formatting, which was not in my skill set to start. I've never done layout. So I mean, for the tables, but like never. This is the most ambitious thing I've done. Let's put it that way. And I've never thought so hard about utility of everything's in front of you, because let's say the players do burn everything down. Let's say they zigged when you thought they were going to zag, and all of a sudden they go. You had the dungeon ready, and you had this little cross on the map. You don't even know what's there. You roll a handful of dice on the Acolyte side of things. It's like, we made a player character, but we also made a pretty compelling NPC if we wanted, right? Like, there's a couple NPCs. We could have taken those motivations, put them into the friendly faction and the non-player characters that we drew up. And there you go. I just filled a spot on the map. And if we weren't geeking out and talking about it, we could have done it pretty damn quickly. So I wanted to make something that you could open up and use fast. I don't know if that came through, but that was literally one of each die type: 20, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, which is deeply sad. Like, here's all the dice, boom, there's my character. Now let's interpret the results. Man, I'm pumped. I hope you're half as pumped as I am. Let's go to the next page. So this is very much in the Game Master's side of things. In fact, when I used this, I play tested this thing. We've made 10 characters, and I don't know. Kel made 10 characters too. This has been rigorously tested. But I made 10 characters at the table with other people, and I only used that page with them. And this is what I'm going to use in prep. Because I have an idea in mind already. Like, I'm running Shattered Obelisk next with 2 different ways. I'm going to alter it and change it to suit my style, but also now to suit the kinds of characters they have made. Hey! Oh, she doesn't want to be on screen, but Dolly says hi. Dolly says it's dinner time, and she's not wrong, but I'm going to hang out and talk to you guys for a little bit longer, because we got to deal with this second side, the Game Master. Oh, you guys have been talking this whole time. You guys have been talking the whole time. I love it. Antagonistic organizations. So, do I tell them? Depending on what we get. So let's do some D6s. Let's do some. Whoa, we're dropping poetry. Please look at the chat. Especially if you're watching this in the VOD, check out the chat. There's some awesome stuff happening there. There's some talented folks in this room tonight, people. Somebody please give me a D6. And on this page, as a little wink and a nod, it's 4D6, which is the old school. Well, 3D6 is maybe the most old school, but 4D6 is the roll for stats, right? 4D6 drop 1. So this page is 4D6 and a D20. So my first D6, please. Guys and gals and non-binary pals. 5 on the D6 from Brian. So antagonistic organization. So factions. I think that a good enemy faction might be more useful to you than a friendly faction, right? I've never had a player want to join the Harpers. The Harpers have a network of transportation circles, teleportation circles. Like, yeah, absolutely cool. Harpers, like, I will do a quest for you, and you will pay me gold and let me use your transportation circle. But nobody wants a little pin. Nobody wants to climb the ranks. I'm not an Adventurers League guy. I understand that plays into Adventurers League much more. But in my, albeit limited experience with dozens and dozens of people now. No one cares about joining a faction, but interacting with them, cool. But evil factions, antagonistic factions, like, say, number five, the Reliquary Raiders. The Reliquary Raiders. That feels like one of those like mouth exercises you do to like warm up. Say if you were going to do a live stream or something. reliquary raiders, dungeoneers who find and loot ancient holy sites for profit. A rival adventuring band? Easy. We find them down in the dungeon. We find them down in the dungeon. Or, Brother Galen tells us, they're going to go loot that bell. Or who do I like a good rival adventuring party. One, because it's a good way to like cheat essentially and like perfectly build the antithesis to every player character, right? But I haven't done that too many times. But it's also a great way to clean up the quests. If you're running a sandbox, we were talking about Dragon of Icespire Peak before, and there is a competitive band. There is some like they're bandits turned adventurers, but who isn't? Another group going around. If I'm giving you 3 level 1 quests and you do one of them, and then you come back for your level 2 quest, but like, I wanted to do that other level 1 quest. Why isn't that available anymore? And yeah, sure, I can scale that up, but I want you to do the level 2 because that points at the level 3 and the yada, yada, yada. So how do I clean up other quests? There's another group of adventurers walking around, and they're hitting sites in a different way than you are. Maybe they're defacing. I mean, maybe this is the heretical sect. Nah, I like that. I like the Abbey. Let's do one more. Stacy's rolling 2s. No, I'll take your 2. We'll do Salted Earth. Yes, Kelf did awesome work with this in his stream. The Salted Earth, clandestinely disrupting rituals and undermining faith to clear the way. So that almost feels like not end game, but that feels like a later game. And the cool thing about a faction versus like a big bad evil guy is that you defeat the enemy, you killed the bad guy, right? And he was a bad guy by himself. End of story. But if he was part of, if he was part of the reliquary raiders, maybe there's 3 or 4 other adventuring types who now might want to avenge his death, or at least loot the stuff that you looted. If he was a member of the Salted Earth might be an army with like progressively more difficult, more sophisticated, higher CR levels of members, right? You meet the grunts on the ground, kind of, messing up life in our small town. And then as the adventure progresses, you go to the big city. Because again, you're going to have 4 or 5 players at the table, right? So you're going to have 4 or 5 friendly factions, even if you don't double up on all of these entries. So it doesn't all have to play out at once, right? So you see a couple members of the Salted Earth here, and then like sessions later, here's the lieutenant running a bunch of grunts. And now you've killed that lieutenant, and word gets out, and now the Salted Earth is coming after you. And now hired assassins are coming after you, or some sort of like, Salted Earth, you could go like Earth Plane, or, they're trying to get rid of an acronym for SALT. The Salted Earth, the Bane of Malgo's Gold, yes. An acronym for SALT. Now I'm thinking of like nuclear treaties, which could be interesting. That's a different tone. So clandestinely disrupting rituals and undermining faith. So that's also got like devil, demonic, the rise of an evil god kind of tones. Give me a new D6. Give me a new D6, and we're going to talk about rivals. These guys could be the Salted Earth right here. Boom. Although this is more. It's all fire. It's all fire. Are you feeling lit up? Is it hot in here? Sparks are flying. Rivals and enemies. Rivals and enemies. Who's got my D6? And maybe this is going to be a member of the Reliquary Raiders or the Salted Earth, but this could be something else as well. This could be some of these are clearly potentially big bad evil guys, but some of them are just like annoying NPCs that like maybe you can't just defeat in combat, right? Like these are potential social interactions, and not every social interaction is just like we petition the king for the quest reward, or, you know, we talk to the barmaid to figure out what's going on in town. Like, maybe the mayor's a jerk, but I can't kill him because he's the mayor, and there's gonna be consequences to this. Give me a D6, and I'm gonna drink some water because I finished my tea and my throat is dry. 6 on the D6. Elf rolled a 6, Nacho rolled a 2. So 6 is Cantum Bale. Cantum. It's like singing, right? Like a cantor. Cantum Bale. Like Christian Bale. Charismatic cult leader seeking to unleash an ancient evil god. Got him. That's the campaign right there, right? I mean, come on, tale as old as time. He's working with the Salted Earth. They're trying to disrupt the religion of whatever this acolyte is worshiping is the antagonistic god to their evil god. Or there's a cleric in the Reliquary Raiders, right? And they're just the shadow version of this acolyte, right? They're also trying to shape their faith. They're also having divine visions. They've also gone from blind follower to free thinker, and they've also found some like heretical sect who's trying to unleash the ancient evil on the world because, I don't know, look around. The world's a pretty messed up place. We got to hit the reset button. I like the world, but I'm saying there's ways to pitch it. Nacho got a 2. Nacho got a 2. Draken Thorn. That's a good name. Take that name with my blessing, even if you don't use it to be whatever this says. Draken Thorn. Bandit turned crime lord who thinks the order is a rich and easy target. Oh boy. So that's the rogue, right? In the Reliquary Raiders. Some crime lord who's going to steal that bell, who's looking at these drunken monks who never say a word. It's the perfect crime. You know they got to have a lot of gold up in there, and who knows what else. And like, who are they going to tell? They don't even talk. What are they going to do? They're in their cups. Oh, yeah. Good. All right. We already have an awesome evocative location. I think I really like the Gardens of Serenity, and we've turned it into the location of the magical MacGuffin and potentially the place that's under attack that we're going to defend. But once again, may I please have D6? We doubled up on the D6s last time, but I'm going to run with that first 6. The Pillars of Divinity. Whoa. Is that from a video game or something? Pillars of Divinity. That might actually be like a place, right? I see like a stones coming out of the ocean or something. It's some like Straits of Gibraltar type sitch. The Pillars of Divinity. Natural structures or remnants of a giant edifice considered holy. Okay, so it could be anything. That's the thing. In a lot of these worlds, you know, again, I don't know if I'm not going to pretend that I know you're running Pillars of Eternity. That's like a nebula, right? Pillars of Eternity is like it's a game. Oh, okay. I think there's like a astrological feature. I think there's some nebula that's a Pillars of Eternity. Or divinity? No, I don't know. Scientists are naming a lot of things divinity. Some of them are. That's a different stream. Pillars of Divinity. Natural structures or remnants of a giant edifice. So, I don't know if you're running Galarian, if you're running Forgotten Realms, if you're running your own homebrew world, but I'm gonna guess there's giants, right? And those giants have a culture, and maybe historically there was a point where those giants were in charge, and maybe it wasn't the giants, right? Maybe it was the Titans, right? Which are the same thing, or maybe a different thing from the giants in your world. I am thinking of the Pillars of Creation. Thank you, man. This is great. I need people Googling for me. Well, typically I would Google for myself, but it feels rude to pick up my phone and look stuff up right now. So maybe maybe the god overthrew some sort of titan, right? I mean, that's the is that the Fame Rune creation myth? It's definitely the Wild Mount. That's what Matt Mercer's cooking up right now. I mean, I'm a little behind on season 3, but like that's also Greek mythology, right? Like there were elemental, gigantic creatures running stuff, and then the gods knocked them off for good or ill, imprisoned them like the chained god that what's his name, Canton Bell is trying to. The Pillars of Divinity are a holy site for followers of Palor, or insert deity here for our Acolyte, but because it's the location where insert deity of good overthrew this god that is now chained, the chained oblivion, if you will. And it is, in fact, the remains of its abode, its palace, right? Just these broken, gigantic pillars of stone. That's dope, and that's a pretty cool map too, especially if we're in like later levels and like flight is in play, and we can really deal with that third dimension. I'm sure 30 seconds on Google would find you a decent version of that map. I'm also thinking of that Mike Schley. I don't know if I've ever said that gentleman's name out loud. Awesome guy, does a ton of the art for Wizards of the Coast. Now I'm 95% sure it's one of his pieces in the very back of the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's like a town that is just like it looks like it's side view, it's in a river, it's a bunch of crags connected by bridges. Just erase or leave the buildings. Maybe it's a huge, the Pillars of Divinity is a huge structure. Maybe there is in fact a town there. Is the Abbey there? Is there some sort of like unique property to the soil that makes awesome grapes? Because fun fact, I'm going to be a garden YouTuber soon. A grape doesn't necessarily want the best soil. You want crappy soil because then the plant pumps all of its hopes and dreams and aspirations into the next generation, and that's how you get better grapes for making wine. I feel is that too much? I need more than one location, right? But again, we're doing one of these per character in our party, so Mike Schley is great. Yeah, Schley, Mike Schley. One more D6, please, and let's see how this locks in, because I feel like I want to run this. I want to run this cleric. I mean, I like clerics. I would make a cleric tonight, or a bard. I have made a bard who was he was a magic initiate cleric, and I think he was an acolyte. It's been a long time, folks, since your boy ran a character. Give me one more D6, and we're going to talk about monsters. Now, the monsters, again, these are sentence fragments, not stat blocks. So this, I think, will be the most work for people. Some people love that work. Some people are newer to the game or busier or whatever, just less interested in statting out a monster. I think it's fun. I think it's awesome. But I've been doing this for a while, so I also think it's easy. If you find that intimidating or unappealing, reskin something. I mean, one, go check. There's a plethora of awesome monster manuals out there between the MCDM stuff that just hit and Kobold Press, and go steal from Pathfinder, even if you're not running Pathfinder, and translate it into 5e or whatever other system you're running. There's 4 other editions, and there's really 5 or 6 other editions and a whole galaxy of OSR stuff. Go find another monster and reskin it. Or just grab something out of whatever you have and just change the flavor. Flavor is free. Reskinning is, I don't know why it's not more celebrated. It's a great way to do things, especially on the fly. Again, there's a chance that you open up this page because you just threw out all the material you had prepared because something happened. Bum, bum, bum. The players did a thing. And now you have to come up with another scenario. Or you knew this stuff, right? I knew that there was you know, there was a bell and it was going to be special, but like I didn't expect the players to go there. I didn't expect the players to go there for a month or two. And like somebody said something, and I could throw in a roadblock or make the journey take forever, or hey guys, give me 5 minutes. And let's see what this says. We got a 4 and a 5, and more monsters the better. So let's do 4, the blasphemous construct. Soulless machine created to destroy divine servants. So we got this real interesting, like, mechanistic, constructs can go different ways, but I do say machine in here. Soulless machine, but it could, I mean, you know, the flesh golem is a construct. Blasphemous soulless machine created to destroy divine servants. So maybe that's the thing that the Salted Earth sends in to get the bell. Because you would need, if you have this, like, you know, group of evil clerics who are relying on the verbal components of their spells, right? They're going to have to come up with an alternative way to brute force their way into the Abbey of Silence, the Gardens of Serenity. Yeah, cool, great. And that's a bag of him. Grab a Tarrasque. That's more interesting. Run a Tarrasque and call it a blasphemous construct. Boom. Well, that's better than Tarrasque should be so much cooler. Different thing. 5. The Inquisitors, judges who made a pact with the devil, trading undeath for guilty souls. Damn, that's a tangent, but that is judges who made a pact with the devil. So maybe the devil falls into one of these. I mean, maybe the devil's the chained god, or maybe it's just there's devils too. Maybe it doesn't all have to. This is a D&D campaign. It doesn't all have to connect to each other. Those connections will form at the table too. So like, you know, the players make some decisions that are a little less than lawful, a little questionable, right? They get a little combat happy. They get a little murder hobo-y. And these Inquisitors who are out there just harvesting souls, because that's the deal. As long as they're holding up their end of this dark bargain, they are feeding their patron. I mean, maybe these things are like warlocks, right? Judges who made a pact with the devil, trading undeath for guilty souls. Well, the Inquisitors, right? That's a whole religious tone to it too. So maybe this is part of like the bad old days of the order, right? Or maybe this is maybe that heretical sect is no more. Some of them were misled, and maybe the leadership knew that it was actually this, you know, devilish force that they were bargaining with, and now, I mean, they're liches essentially, or warlocks, or insert challenge rating appropriate undead here. And they're seeking out the party because they want their souls, because they made a deal with the devil. And I mean, maybe the Salted Earth set them on their path, or the Reliquary Raiders, right? Unboxed these guys as they went gallivanting through a dungeon somewhere, right? They found the old place where these things are entombed, right? These sarcophagi that are chained up, because like you can't kill these things, you can only temporarily stop them from getting to you. So they go to loot these guys, and whoops. And now they've got a vendetta just against adventurers, period, against dungeoneers. That's a story. All right, last one, folks. D20s, please and thank you. I haven't been keeping up with my left column here. I like this picture a lot. Flaming skeleton. I don't know what your story is, but there might be room for a flaming skeleton. I almost didn't use this one, and I also almost captioned this one, Rocks Fall, Everyone Dies. But sometimes all you need is a good plot hook, right? This is the biggest part of these tables. This is the most real estate. This is the D20, right? And the motivations were also D20, but this is a double wide. This is the one that I'm giving you the most options of, and the most 75%. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel very grateful and a little overwhelmed, honestly. Super nice. So yeah, what the bulk of these are the plot hooks, because you might have an idea in mind already, right? I mean, I've got an idea in mind already, right? So one of these 20 things is going to feed into it easier, better. Peace, Brian. We'll talk soon. The other thing is maybe you're running a published adventure. The other thing is maybe you're running a sandbox and you've thrown in for published adventures and half of a homebrew world and the full homebrew world. You know, all of these things. Plot hooks. That's the secret. I've come to learn that 3 is pretty much the magic number at a time. But I love open world sandbox play. And I love creating a world where it feels like the players can walk in any direction, kick over a rock, and adventure pops out, or potential adventure pops out. So you need a lot of ammunition if you're going to run that way. And this is one of the best ways I know how to do it. And if I have 5 players at my table, that's 100 plot hooks, and it's not just random plot hooks. The Gerblins stole the pigs. Maybe the Gerblin stole my pigs is in here. So there's 1,000 of these things. And there's going to be a farmer, so dibs. The Gerblins stole the pigs. Writing that down for later. Again, folks, I need 1,000 ideas. The plot hooks are built with the types of characters the players have created in mind, which there's no guarantees, but I can't really figure out a better way to make a tool to increase to make the odds as high as we can for player engagement. Because if you want them to do a thing, you need a decent incentive. And the more the better. So, as you can already see, things start connecting. I've got, what do we got? 3 results right now in the chat. Some of these 3 results might interact with each other, point at the same quest. Also, with the other characters' plot hooks, there might be different reasons to go to the same place. So what did we get here? Kelf delivered a 13. Their deity loses their divinity and as a mortal asks for aid to get it back. Dang, that's like consequential. That's like world-changing events, right? What happens if the deity... I mean, this is great. This is great for that acolyte that isn't a cleric, right? This bard who's getting there, who's not necessarily like powers. There are no more clerics. At least no more clerics of whatever, Paylor or Talos, right? Like the adversaries have already, peace Nacho, the adversaries have already succeeded to a degree, and I'm having fun. I hope you have fun at work. The adversaries have already succeeded. That's an interesting starting point to a campaign. It's like the bad guys have won. You're level 1. What are you going to do about it? Your god's not a god anymore, and they're asking for help. That's a campaign. That's not just an adventure. They got a 2 and an 18, so let's do them both. 2, a religious artifact has been uncovered that can be very dangerous in the wrong hands. I mean, that's Rumors of the Bell, right? 100%. I mean, that could be something else. That could be what the reliquary raiders have uncovered or are going for, but that could be the silenced singing bell. 18. Hidden texts reveal their god replaced an earlier deity. There are conflicting theories as to why. Now that plays on the pillars of divinity, pillars of divinity. That whole like god overthrowing a titan, and now the titan has some advocates. Like, I like that. So there's 3 quests and a dope character from the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Design. Let's do this. Let's do some of this. So I encourage you to go watch the trailer. It is potentially less informative, but it's also a lot less, it's a lot shorter than this stream. And it has better music. I don't know if I've ever spent longer on 3 minutes of video. And I'm very happy with, 78%, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna hit this. We're doing this. I mean, we're doing it anyway, but we're gonna do it day one. And that makes me feel very, very blessed, very happy. So yes, thank you for that. We're doing this all month. So I encourage you to think of some character concepts. I encourage you to go get your hands on this. You can use this tonight at your table. We're making a bigger and better version of it. That's why I am crowdfunding today. But I mean, there's 7 in there. Roll a d6, pick a character. You get one redo if you want it. Go around. You got 4 players, 5 players. I hope you don't have 7 players, but maybe you have 7 players. You could do this tonight. You could do this tonight, and it'll cook up a one shot for you. If you're good at thinking on your feet, this is great. If you're bad at thinking on your feet and you need to, this is the kind of tool you need in your toolbox. You need something to give you a story in moments, and all the better if that story is potentially going to connect to the things that you already have. And that's the whole concept here. I almost called this Connections, and maybe I should have, because the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation is a mouthful. Connections kind of sounds like a sociology textbook, though. And it is explosive. I mean, I'm sweating because of the lights and what I'm performing, but like it generates heat. Things start happening as you use it. And depending on who's at the table, like different things will happen every time you use it. I come back and get these same results tomorrow, it might trigger different ideas for me. And if you roll these, I mean, the people in the chat just now had different ideas, and some of them were dope. Some of them were great. So thank you so much for watching this live stream. We're going to do more of these this month because we're going to keep this train running. Please, please, please help me spread the word for this. Players, dungeon masters, any system, any high fantasy system, D&D, Pathfinder, OSR. I built this thing, so whatever the new thing is that we're going to be using next year, and I might be using a different new thing than you're using. There's a lot of very interesting looking games on the horizon. I built this to work with those too, because I don't want to throw this out in 6 months. So this thing is built to last. So it's not a 5e supplement. It's not a Pathfinder 2e supplement. It's not an OSR thing. This is a game with it. It's got to be a thing. I got the address for the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Design. Connections might have been a harder get. So yes, please help me spread the word, because we're talking about stretch goals pretty soon. It's on the page. I'm gonna, now that they're going to be in reach, now that it actually looks like we're gonna fund guys, and that's awesome. That is super nice. That is great. It's very exciting. So yes, we're gonna start talking about stretch goals in the very near future, because the more we do, the more of us together are working on this thing, or supporting this thing, or spreading the word on this thing, the bigger and bigger it's going to get. 50 of those blocks of tables, 50 of those 2-page spreads is going to be a ton of content generation. However, there's a lot of other stuff I also want to put in here that I feel like can multiply those effects and do some other cool stuff. So check out the stretch goals, and please, anything. I mean, most of you all here have contributed, and I am super grateful for that. Putting the word out again. You get this in people's hands. You can use this right now. Show your players. Come support the Kickstarter and show people the trailer. Show people this stream. And yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for watching. Be kind. Have fun. We love you. Good night.